Today we are doing a full deep dive analysis on the new War Robots robot Vector from the test server. In this video we will break down everything you need to know about this robot, including its abilities, mechanics, strengths, weaknesses, best possible builds, playstyles, and how it could fit into the current meta. We will also compare it to existing robots and talk about whether it is actually worth using or just overhyped. Vector is one of the newest experimental robots currently being tested in the War Robots test server. It appears to be designed as a highly mobile combat unit focused on fast engagements, repositioning, and dealing consistent damage while avoiding direct heavy fire. Unlike traditional tank robots that rely on durability, Vector seems to focus more on movement, timing, and smart positioning, which means it will likely reward skilled players much more than beginners. Vector's ability feels almost like a magnet-style mechanic. It can pull or drag players into close-range fights, forcing them into your position instead of letting them escape. And at the end of its ability, it even seems to have a sword-style attack, making it dangerous in close combat. It's basically a mix of mobility and forced engagement. Once you're caught, you don't really get a free escape. Kind of like, once you're in range, you're stuck in the fight. And yeah, if you mess up your timing, it can even feel like you just get deleted instantly. Now let's talk about Vector's strengths. First, its mobility is one of its biggest advantages. Being able to reposition quickly means it can control fights much more effectively than slower robots. Second, it has strong potential for consistent damage output, especially when paired with the right weapons. Third, it is very flexible in battle, meaning it can adapt to different situations instead of being locked into one specific role. Overall, Vector seems designed for aggressive and skilled players who enjoy fast-paced gameplay and constant movement. However, Vector also has clear weaknesses. The first major issue is survivability. Compared to heavy tank robots, Vector appears to have lower durability, which means it can be eliminated quickly if caught in the open. Second, it is likely very dependent on player skill. If you misplay your positioning or timing, you can be punished very easily. Third, it may struggle against long-range setups or high-burst damage robots that can eliminate it before it can react. Because of these weaknesses, Vector is not a safe robot. It requires smart decision-making in every fight. Now let's talk about possible builds and weapon setups for Vector. Since it is a mobile combat robot, it works best with weapons that benefit from fast engagements and quick damage bursts. Ideal setups would likely include mid-range or close-range weapons that allow it to take advantage of its mobility. Burst damage weapons are especially strong because Vector can quickly enter combat, deal damage, and then reposition before taking too much damage in return. For players who prefer a more aggressive style, close-range, high DPS builds will likely be the most effective. On the other hand, safer players may prefer mid-range setups that allow them to stay slightly behind the front line while still contributing damage. To be honest, I don't know what was happening here, but somehow got that kill. Vector supports multiple playstyles, but it is mainly designed for hit-and-run tactics. One playstyle is aggressive flanking, where you use mobility to attack enemies from unexpected angles. Another playstyle is controlled engagement, where you wait for the right moment. Strike quickly and then retreat before the enemy can respond. It is not recommended to play Vector like a tank robot, because staying in one place for too long will usually result in being destroyed quickly. When comparing Vector to the current meta, it seems to fit into a flexible assassin-type role. It is not designed to replace tanks or long-range snipers, but instead to complement them by adding pressure and mobility to fights in skilled hands. Vector could become a strong meta pick due to its ability to quickly eliminate targets and escape dangerous situations. However, its effectiveness will heavily depend on final stats and balancing changes before release. Overall, Vector looks like a high-skill, high-mobility robot with a lot of potential in the current War Robots meta. It rewards smart positioning, fast reactions, and aggressive but controlled gameplay. However, it is also risky to use and may not be suitable for all players due to its lower survivability compared to tank-style robots. We will have to wait for the final release to see how strong it truly becomes in the live server. Let me know in the comments what you think about Vector and whether you think it will be overpowered or balanced.